Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. Back with the gang here. I got Chad, Travis, Nick, Kyle, and Jose. Jose's here now.
No way.
Got a new guy.
Yeah, we got a new guy here.
Took me a second.
Jose started this week, so Jose's here. Nobody can hear him, or he can't really hear anybody, but he's in the room here. Jose's joining our marketing team. So, hi, Jose. Hello. So he's hanging out. He's now hanging out with Kyle. So it's like two of them now. They've doubled.
Filling up this room quick.
Yeah, this closet's pretty full. We have a duo of them. It's like a tag team now. I'm a little nervous. These guys are gonna be able to fight me. It's 2-on-1 every time now.
What do you mean?
Kyle could have probably
There's two
took
of
you
them.
up just by himself.
Two marketing guys, one of me. Their ideas will trump me now. If I say no, they'll just beat me up. There's two of them.
I don't think that's how the pyramid works.
I think that's how it works. I feel like that's how it's going to work. No, so I'm pretty excited, though. Like I said, Jose brings a lot of new skills and ideas to our marketing team, so pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Kyle, he's already had his stress level go down. I've seen it on his face. Like, he actually is smiling at work again.
He's laughing.
Yeah,
You hear that?
I know. He said 14 words yesterday at work. I didn't know what to do with
It was
myself.
impressive.
That's like
I knew he
3
was here
times
the
as many.
entire day.
Yeah, he used all of his words for the whole week in one day.
I would smile more if you hired an assistant for me.
Not hiring you anybody. Nothing for you, Chad.
Someone to do my paperwork.
No, you don't need anybody. I did. I hired you an assistant.
Who?
It's a quoting system. It's called IQX. I also hired you another assistant called HubSpot.
Remember, Chad, we have a 6-month plan.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
7%.
For sure. For sure.
These two are convinced that Chad's going on live tour in 6 to 7 months, and Nick is going to be his caddy for 7% of the winnings. They're both going to work here at ShopSabre in 8 months. I'm confident of that.
We'll be gone for 2 months and come back. Brandon, take us back.
Yeah.
7%
Yeah,
of zero is
exactly.
still zero.
The benefit's going to be I'm going to get both of them for 7% less when they come back. What about you, Travis? What are you doing?
Just living.
Living.
Just living.
It's
I'm not golfing.
it's not warm enough yet to ride your motorcycle yet, is it?
I rode it this morning.
I know.
You drove it in today?
Yeah, it was a bit chilly.
Dude, he came in.
I didn't
He
even
looked
notice
like he
him.
was frozen.
38 degrees.
Seriously.
Leather jacket, leather gloves, and a beanie.
He got that new rear tire on it, and he figured it's a snow tire. He wanted to try that thing out.
Well, I had to pay for an oil change, and they're going to be doing the engine overhaul in June. So I'm going to get all the miles I can on that oil change because they charge you like $80 for an oil change. So I'm going to get my money's worth because I got to drain
Isn't
the
that
oil
like
again.
normal price for an oil change?
Cost
On
me
a
that
motorcycle.
I don't feel like that's more than a normal.
like
Chad, how much do you pay for an oil
2 or
change?
3 quarts of oil.
I think less than $80.
Do you?
Yeah, 60, 70. Not
Yeah,
much less.
I was
but
saying it's
like
not
a
much
lot
less, right? I have a diesel truck, so I pay $80 for an oil change. So I guess I didn't think it was that bad.
It's Harley Davidson, so HD,
Yeah, it's
$100.
Harley-Davidson.
Everything's $100 or more.
It's a 90s Harley Davidson.
2002,
90s.
you prick.
That's solid.
If my old man was here, he'd whoop you.
That's funny. Yeah, what'd you guys do this weekend, though? Anything fun?
Nick,
Nick, what'd you do?
you always just fun stuff. What'd you do?
We actually, we went out to dinner Friday night, took the kids out to eat, and played some video games at the restaurant we went to. I'm
Oh.
going to call it a bar.
Looked like fun.
It was fun. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can let the kids play video games and stuff for $20 that lasts 2 hours, it's fine.
It's not
Win.
bad.
Yeah.
Solid win. What about you, Chad? Did you go live tour practicing?
On Saturday, he was closed on Sunday. So Saturday, I went golfing. Sunday, I didn't do anything.
Yeah?
It was the greatest thing ever.
Did you get a hole in one on Saturday?
No, but I did pretty good on the back nine. Like,
That's cool.
better than I would have ever imagined this early on in the season.
That's cool.
Normally, it takes a little bit to.
Have you ever gotten a hole in one?
No.
Nick, have you ever gotten a hole in one?
One.
Have you?
Yeah, it was probably 1997, I think.
What do they call that? Albatross?
Yep.
No.
A hole in one is a hole in one. Albatross is a 2 on a par 5.
Oh.
And then I
See
followed
how
that.
much I
I followed
know.
that hole in one up with an 8 on a 280-yard par 4.
I'm sure all that adrenaline going.
That was
That's
that
solid.
was great.
I like that you remember that part. That's my favorite part. Yeah, I got a hole in one time, and then I shot an 8 on the next hole.
And I can probably remember all 9 of those shots in my head and see them all happening over
That's
and over
funny.
right now. It's like a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Would you get a hole in one here in Minnesota?
Yeah, I was actually in Hastings. I was, I think, a junior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's been forever since you got a hole in one then.
long time.
Oh,
haven't been close since.
Did you guys shoot hole in ones in black and white? Or was there color back then?
I think it was color.
There was a color?
Yeah, it should have been.
I was just wondering.
I just can't imagine you sitting there thinking like, oh man, this is going to happen so many more times in my life.
Yeah.
And here we are today.
You're like, man, everybody says this is so hard. He does it as a junior.
Yeah, and it was not, like I said, not even close since. So it's
Really?
Yeah. It's
Travis,
all-
how many
it's all
hole in
luck.
ones do you have?
None on a course, but I have broke a couple of windows when I was living at my parents' house.
I've got a few hole in ones in mini golf. Does that count?
While losing to your wife?
God, she's so good. She's so good at mini
Or are
golf.
you so bad?
I don't feel like I'm that terrible at mini golf. I'm pretty good at bouncing the ball off the clown's nose through the windmill. I'm pretty good at that. But yeah, no, I've never had a hole in one either. So congratulations, Nick.
Thanks.
You win.
Appreciate it.
It's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. So yeah, so you went golfing. You went and played video games. What did you do this weekend, Travis?
Did some upgrades on the Harley. New
that's right.
speakers with an amplifier.
Wow.
New
They have-
headlights.
They have radios in those things?
Oh yeah.
I thought those Harleys were just really loud. They just made really loud noises so you couldn't hear anything.
I needed louder speakers so I could actually hear this sound coming out of it.
Fair enough.
It scared me this morning when he tore through the parking lot. I was just
Playing
it's all
Celine
quiet up
Dion.
here, and he cranks on the throttle to go through the parking lot. It's like, what the hell's going on out there?
I don't know. It's kind of a Harley thing you didn't understand.
Were you playing Celine Dion when you pulled in the parking lot?
I think it was Shine Down, but I had it
believe it.
cranked. I'm sure people could
Britney.
hear it.
He was playing Britney Spears. Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I would do. I'd roll down the highway singing Taylor Swift.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
not?
There was actually one day I left the parking lot and I was singing something. Was it the Celine Dion's?
I think it was Celine Dion that you were playing that day. That's why I made
And I
that
was
comment.
staring at Brandon. I was leaving, singing it to him the
It
whole
was
time.
very awkward as he was riding away on his motorcycle singing Celine Dion while making eye contact with me. Very, very uncomfortable. I almost didn't come to work the next day.
Not getting that lucky.
Yeah, no, you won't. Yeah, for me, we didn't do much this weekend. It was awesome. It was a whole lot of nothing. We played some hockey. My kid got just routed on Sunday. That was sweet. Had to calm him down a little bit. He got it was 3-on-3 hockey, and we tried out some new goalie skates.
Well, you did tell us all along he's been a Flurry fan, so he played like Flurry game too, right?
He played Flurry game too, for sure. He definitely did not bring his A game.
Well, didn't you go to the Wilds last game of the season?
We did. We went to the Wild game. Well, I went to 3/4 of the Wild game.
You left?
Oh yeah, yeah. We left with 12 minutes to go in the third. That was
Beat the traffic.
that was enough. I figured I'll get on the road before all the angry people leave because it was very rowdy in there, and we were down 3-0.
Thought you were pretty sure we were going to bring it to game 7.
I was pretty confident that we were going to bring it to Game 7, and then we came out solid the first 10 minutes of the game, and then just fell apart.
It's kind of downhill from there.
Yeah, it fell apart. So it's just what happens, you know. It's Minnesota sports. I think they said we are the longest streak of the 4 major sports of exiting in the first round. 50 seasons.
I think there's even a stat saying of those teams going to the playoffs but not making it to the championship. Like we've had 50.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, it's
50
been-
straight seasons.
Yeah.
Of it. It's ever since the Twins won
I
the
don't,
World
I think
Series.
I don't think it's not made it out of the first round. I think it's not made it to the championship.
The championship, is that what it was?
Because we've had like the Vikings in 09
Yeah.
made it to the.
True.
Let's not talk about that.
Well, I'm saying that was the
wrestling.
NFC championship game.
It still stings.
So it was out of the first round. It's just not making it to like a finals.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
it was terrible. It feels bad. It doesn't feel good. Hey, but at least we're not Boston fans.
True story. But
Best
they win. They
season-
win a lot anyway, so who cares? They lose a
Best
hockey game.
season in NHL history.
Yeah.
Exited
Would
in
they
the first
lose
round.
8 times?
8
all
times all
season?
season. They lost 4 in the
Or
playoffs.
in the playoffs and done.
Done.
They've also celebrated championships.
But I'm still gonna just say congratulations to them. You now own 2 records. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I know. But let's get started. I know last week we talked a little bit about improving efficiency in your shop. Hopefully, somebody improved some efficiency this week. But today, I want to talk a little bit about time management tips. What do you guys think about that idea? I like them apples.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean,
Travis, tell us about how you manage your time.
Poorly.
True, poorly. Yeah, no. Today I want to talk a little bit about managing your time because let's be honest, we all have those days, those weeks, those months where you feel like you just can't get ahead of the mountain, if you will, right? The mountain of work that's stacking up, or to-do list, or whatever it is. Nick, you you had kind of brought this topic up. I mean, we had talked a little bit about some topics, and we have a bunch of topics we're trying to, cover, and you had talked about this, and I thought we'd run with that. So, tell us a little bit about it, Nick. What are you thinking?
I just feel like sometimes we always feel like there's not enough hours in the day to accomplish everything you set out to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have to manage our time and prioritize what we absolutely have to get done before the day's over, and then, allow things that maybe are a little bit less priority to move on to the next day.
Yeah.
Or later on when you're, if you hop back into your work later on at home before you go to bed or something. But
Well, I think time management's an essential skill for a business owner. I think you have to have some level of time management. Is it not a skill? Let me ask you guys that. Time management, is it a skill? Do you guys
100%.
think that?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Can you guys share maybe some of your tips that you use for managing your workloads efficiently, or managing your time just in general? Like maybe it's not workloads, maybe it's just time in general at your house or your personal life, whatever. But you got any tips or things that you guys do?
I try to do things as fast as possible.
Fast as you possibly can. Zero care in the quality, just go fast.
It's just manage it faster.
I just want to say,
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
that's what I have to say to that.
I like having processes set up though, like how I'm going to do my day. So on like Monday, I know I'm going to do follow-ups right away in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to get to that to get that done. So then the next thing, I can start quoting people or start calling people. Then the next thing is I can go to lunch, and then I can come back and take a little break, and then
Take
relax.
a second lunch.
But mainly just having processes in place.
Yeah.
I think it's the same. I mean, it's the same for me. Like I've just developed kind of a layout of my day where you kind of get an understanding or a feeling of the common times that people call in, or the common times that people are going to send emails, the beginning of their day, the middle of their day, the end of the day, not a lot in between. So I can kind of plan out my day according to, whether I'm going to build some manuals or print some manuals or do the other things that you can do and not fall behind with the things that happen at the
It's very nice.
I like. No, I think that's a good point. When you think about developing processes, as Chad said, and kind of what you said, understanding routines, right? Regular things, people call it these times, it's a busier time. Maybe not setting your schedule so that you're super busy during those moments. That makes sense. What about you, Travis? Any tips, tricks? Have you ever managed your time before?
Not very well, as Chad would always say. Chad's good with that, though. Honestly, I've followed a lot of.
Chad manages your time.
He's helped me. He really has.
He's like, Travis, it's time for you to take a lunch.
Time for you to put your phone down.
There's one time he came over to my computer and he looked and he says, "You got 20 emails." He's like, "So where are you going to start on these?" And I kind of told him how I would do it, just starting from the very bottom, making my way up. He's like, "Well, this one here literally just needs one answer. Just send that one really quick, then come back."
So you had Chad look at your emails for you.
Yeah,
Got it.
He told me what makes things quicker and easier so people can get what they need sooner.
No, I got you. Yeah, what you said makes sense. And, I think it says a lot when you're willing to use resources around you, though. Learn from people. Like I said, Chad's time management is really good. I mean, being honest. I think, Chad, I think that comes from our years in the car industry.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Like the car industry forced us to develop time management.
They would have as many people come in, and the new people coming in don't care about the 5 people that you helped before. You just got to get them all handled.
Correct. And I was gonna say that. Yeah. So for me, I'm kind of old school in some regard when I get overwhelmed with workload versus the time that I have to lay out. It's kind of just how I am. I used to use Post-it notes a lot. Like
I still like those.
yeah, I used to use them a lot, and pads of paper, whatnot, make lists, do that. But honestly, in recent years, I've moved more digital, and I think a lot of it is because my desk is moving all the time now. Like I used to, I knew I'd be at my desk 8 hours a day. Let's be honest. How often am I at my desk for 8 hours a day, guys?
25% of the time.
Yeah, I'm never there. I'm moving around the building. I always got something going on, some meeting, some thing going on, and so the Post-it note's not in front of me then. So therefore, I lose track of things. So I started going more digital, and I use my Office 365 organizer, calendar, my iPhone notepad. I do all that stuff, my reminders, and that way when I'm not sitting at my desk, whether I'm at home or I'm in a meeting or wherever I'm at, I can pull up my calendar and see what I have coming up for the next day or that evening or wherever I'm at, and I don't get blindsided by a 15-minute reminder, and then you're sitting there trying to frantically figure out where you're going to go. I try to look ahead in my day. I'm really big on that. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I pick my phone up and see that Nick texts me to let me know he's already at work because he's there at 3:30 in the morning. So that's cool. And then after I look at his Snapchat, which by the way he told me today, never mind. Then I pull up my organizer and I say, okay, what's today bring? What do I have going on? What meetings do I have? What's on the schedule today? And I do. I look all the way through my schedule for the day. So I kind of mentally prepare myself for what's going to be happening, and I kind of shift my day. And that way, when I get to work and I can see the workload that I have, the emails, the things that are happening, which, to be honest, a lot of times I'm checking those when I wake up too. But I can get through things in the times, and I know that, okay, this is going to require more attention than I have in the next 15 minutes. So I'm going to put a reminder that at my 10 o'clock break, right, between my two meetings from 9 and 11, I'm going to do this at 10 o'clock. Or, I'm going to do this at my break between these two meetings or whatever it is. And it allows me to kind of organize the flow of my day, if you will. And I think, like I said, I think it comes from the days in the car industry. Because, as you know, Chad, in the car industry, it's very schedule driven. So you kind of have an idea how many appointments you have coming in all day. I mean, you come in, you looked up, at least I used to, and I'm assuming you used to do it too. You look up the car, when you get in the morning, you look up the drive schedule, right? And you see that you have 300 car schedule to come in that day or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you kind of look at the hot spots, right? We're really busy between 11 and 1. We're really busy between 2:30 and 3:30. So where your not hot spots are and where you're going to try to accomplish things, right? And as you said, the guy who's driving in with his problem doesn't care that you just helped 30 customers. He only cares that he has a problem with his car and needs your help.
Correct.
And so it's the same mentality I have in the CNC world is because, again, there's people that call in and they don't really care what I've dealt with in my day before them. Their problem is the only thing that they want to talk about. That's the only thing the only reason they called is for their own need, obviously. So you can't let your day get away from you because somebody else's concern happened before them. And I think that can be said about your business too. When you start looking at cabinet shops, sign shops, whatever the business is, you cannot allow the jobs you sold previously to affect the jobs you're selling now. And vice versa. You can't allow the jobs you sold now to affect the ones you sold previous to it, right? You have to go get things done, otherwise your customers are going to be pissed. Probably fair statement?
Fair.
So for me, seeing the work and being able to cross it out helps me. I feel like, I'm making progress is my biggest thing. Like when I have a list and I can cross things off and they disappear and the list is getting smaller, that always makes me happy. But do you guys ever reward yourself? Like whether it's personal reward, like in your personal life, or if it's a, reward at work, however that might be. Do you guys do that at all?
I do.
I mean, once I get a paycheck, I reward myself by buying things.
There we go. That's a reward. But that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, honestly, it's not just about paying your bills, right? But do you guys ever lose track of the goal because you simply aren't seeing a reward or a reason to continue?
No.
No.
I don't think so. No.
Not me.
Okay. Think about how many people maybe do, though, right? If you don't see a reward at the end of, a hard-fought battle, are you going to keep fighting that battle?
Probably not.
And so, as an example, let's talk about dieting for a second, right? You've all seen I've done some diets over the years. And how many people diet and then give up, right? They do their diet and they give up.
A very high percentage.
Why do you think they give up?
Because they don't see the reward right away.
Because they don't see the reward, right? They don't see success. And let's be honest, when we diet, we all want instant results, right? We all still want to eat cookies, ice cream, and look like a professional athlete. That'd be sweet, right? But you lose track of it when you feel hungry, miserable, and still feel bad about your appearance, right? Nobody wants to feel hungry, miserable, and then look in the mirror and not see anything, right? Some people will justify feeling hungry and being somewhat miserable on that because the appearance is, they look better, right? But if you don't have that instant gratification, you give up. Well, the same thing with like your goals and your time management. If you're not seeing a reward of doing of managing your time, you're not going to do it, right? You're not going to continue to spend the time organizing your day and going through it. Let me tell you about my experience. A few years ago, I realized I was fat Brandon, and I needed to change my life. Like, I needed to change it because, for one, I have 2 kids, and I want to be able to keep up with them because they're super high energy. And obviously, I want to be the fun dad. Like, I want to go have fun with my boys. I want to do things that other dads maybe don't do, right? I want to be able to go play hockey with my kids. I want to be able to do some of that stuff. And so I started to cut weight. And I'll be honest, I lost 40 pounds, super pumped about that. But I was miserable doing it. Like, wasn't fun. And eventually I just gave up. To be honest, I stopped doing it. Even though I was seeing a result, I still stopped because I was so miserable. And I put a bunch of weight back on. Like, it happens. And last year, you guys may recall, you guys all made fun of me all summer long because of my diet, And, I cut a lot of weight again, though. I was able to cut weight back down. Like I said, you guys have all made fun of me over what I was eating. But I honestly was miserable. But I was addicted to the change, and it kept me going because I was seeing a change. That was the reward, that I was seeing results. But then one day I realized it was affecting my life in so many negative ways. And so you have to think about like your organization. Like, just organizing your life isn't the key. Like, if you organize it to the point where like it's so methodical, you're going to be miserable, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to want to keep doing that. Like, your business isn't going to keep running. And my question is your employees going to want to keep going? If you've got everything in your day so organized that if they fall off 1 second, they're going to get in trouble. I mean, they're probably not going to want to keep going, right?
No.
Correct.
So your organization has to sometimes fit into like real world, scenarios. And so for me, let's fast forward a year. I've been dieting with reward now. And what I mean is I'm managing my portions. I'm, watching my carb intake. I'm doing all the stuff I was doing before, but I'm not cutting out anything. And what I mean by that is I still eat a hamburger when I want a hamburger, right? I eat ice cream with my kids. Like, I eat candy. Heck, I had cookie dough on Friday at the Wild game because I was so miserable watching the Wild play. But I just don't do it all week long anymore. Like, that was the problem, is that the habit I had produced was I eat like crap all week long because I can, right? Like, understanding being an adult means I can have chocolate cake whenever I want. But, being responsible says you shouldn't. Like, I knew that's a bad idea. So when I start looking at my reward is that, I get through Monday through Friday and eat healthy, right? Do my thing, do my proportion. And then, Friday night or Saturday or whatever, my wife and I go out and we usually enjoy the normal stuff we like. And like I said, sometimes we go out on a Friday night and I have cookie dough at a hockey game, or I go out on a Sunday with my buddies and whatever. I spoil myself. I have Buffalo Wild Wings, right? I mean, last Wednesday, I spoiled myself with a candy bar because it's just one of those things where, like, if you just give yourself, structure all the time, like, eventually you're so miserable that it's just not worth keeping up with your structure. So as you organize your business and you do things in your business, like, you have to think about that too. Don't make it so miserable that you don't want to continue to do it. I think there's tips to time management. And time management is, again, I use it as a diet there, kind of an example. But I think some of it is just developing things within your day that keep you on track, but without being so structured that you can't afford to fall off that track. Right? No?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, kind of my point of the story is that you have to find a reward that works for you, right?
Yep.
Every person's different. If you're just getting by, you aren't going to be successful one day because you're going to give up. And what's making you successful now maybe won't make you successful in 5 years, right? And so you need a reward. Your employees need that reward. If you're going to develop plans in your business, your employee needs to see the reward, right? ShopSabre has changed things obviously over the years and the way we do things, but we've always done it with the idea of how can we make your guys' lives either easier or more, more successful, right? Well, whatever that looks like. And if you're not doing it for your employees, or you're not doing it in your business, like, are you guys going to be successful long term? Let's talk about CNC, right? That's what we are here, is we're a CNC company. And how is a CNC machine rewarding, or how can it be a reward to employees?
Less labor. You don't have to do nearly as much around the shop as you would have before. Manhandling sheets and bringing them from one machine to the next machine. This machine can do it all in one.
Yeah, so you're spending less energy, essentially, is what you're basically saying?
Yep.
It's less labor is the win to the business, obviously, because you're not having to have as many people, maybe. But the reward to your employee is that maybe they're not beating their body up as bad, right?
Yep.
Or they see better results of what they're trying to.
I don't know what just happened, but I'm pretty sure the building fell down. That was loud.
But you know what I mean? Like, they get better results with using a machine to cut instead of trying to cut things by hand, right? So the employees are going to see better results of less work. So
Yeah.
obviously that's rewarding, right? You're doing less but getting better results.
Yep.
True. Get more done with less, right?
Yeah.
Which comes back to time management, right? I can get more of my job done without spending as much of my personal time at my job.
So think about that. You have an employee that instead of spending 3 days cutting, let's say, one kitchen, right?
Right.
They can cut 3 kitchens in one day maybe.
Yeah.
And they get that much more done. You get that much more production done, more profit, more everything. I mean,
What used to take you hours can now probably be minutes.
yeah.
Or if the employee makes a wrong cut
Yeah.
and gets frustrated about cutting the sheet incorrectly or getting yelled at for
Yeah.
ruining an expensive sheet of material.
Yeah. I mean, we're working on a project right now with Sean. Pretty excited about it. It's a new project that we're going to be going live with here in the very few near weeks. I don't know what I was trying.
That was a good way of saying
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what I was trying to say there. Sorry.
It's going to come out eventually.
Eventually, this
Sometime
video
in 2023
Sometime
or
Thinking about
in
it.
the
maybe
future.
24.
Some year. No, we're working on it right now, and it's actually a real job that Sean sold to a customer, and needs to be done. And it's time management for us because Sean wanted to be here to do his videos, but also has a deadline for his customer. So he's like, "Why don't we do a real job I have to get done this week?" So we're killing 2 birds with one stone, right? It's time management, but also the real win here, like what we're talking about, is what you were saying is that in this scenario is Sean's cutting material. His material that he's cutting is $3,500.
Jeez.
Could you imagine doing that by hand and cutting it wrong?
Is that for like a pallet of material? Or is that,
I don't know the exact.
is that for like 11
That's
sheets?
he told me for the project that we're doing. So what we're gonna do is $3,500 worth of material.
Jeez.
And so,
Better get it right the first time.
well, that's exactly it. And that's what brings me to the point is that Chad said nobody likes being yelled at when they cut it wrong. Well, that kind of puts it into perspective of why sometimes they get yelled at, right? That's not a small mistake. You cut it wrong, $3,500 isn't coming out of the customer's pocket twice. That's just $3,500 out of your profit.
Yep.
So, I mean, it kind of, I think, puts it in perspective of probably how expensive that job is that Sean's working on. But that's why, to him, CNC makes so much sense. It's organizing the use of his labor, right? I'm going to put the critical stuff on equipment rather than people who make mistakes and things do happen and we're humans. Put it on the piece of equipment where the risk of the mistake is less. Like he said, it's never zero. He's like, machines have problems too. And he said, sometimes humans still program them and make a mistake. But he said the likelihood of having a problem is a lot less with a CNC machine because it's a process that he put in place. And like you said, it's time management.
Wasn't that a hit song back in the day? What's got 99 problems, but a CNC machine ain't one?
I don't think that was it. Yeah, maybe.
No way.
Maybe that was it. I don't remember that one.
It was a good song.
By Router Z.
ShopSabre.com.
That's all I can say about that. But yeah, really though, you got to set goals though, right? I still can't get over that. That's pretty good. You got to set goals though. Long-term and short-term goals, I think, is a big part of time management because you have to work towards something, right? And time management to me is best handled with understanding the outcome you want. If you can't really manage something if you don't really know what you're trying to accomplish, you have to set a goal, whether it's a short-term goal, like what you're going to accomplish just today, right? Or long-term goal, maybe it's what you're going to accomplish this month or this year or the quarter, whatever, however you guys judge your long-term and short-term. But I hear people say, all the time, we're going to get to that eventually. How many times do you hear somebody say that? We'll get to it eventually.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
then
common.
they never get to it.
Yep.
Right? And eventually isn't a goal. Let's be clear with that. Eventually isn't your goal. Like, that is a way to put things off. That's procrastination at its finest, right? It needs to be something like, I'll get to that next week, right? You've set a time frame. At least there's a timing on it. Like, eventually isn't a time. Next week there's something you can put on your schedule. And set the goal to be next week, right? Something you're going to accomplish. Set a reminder on your calendar. Something that reminds you that you put it off. It annoys you. It doesn't let you forget about it, right? Putting things off is different than setting a goal. Next week with a plan is a goal and is focus, right? Next week, so you don't have to do it or think about it without doing any of that stuff, without setting a an actual reminder or any of that stuff is just procrastination.
Like having a goal to do, 100 sheets a week, but then say, I'll eventually get a CNC machine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly like you think about that. Like you push on your guys. We got to get this kitchen out. Got to get it out this week, guys. But you know that you're putting a lot on your guys. And let's be honest, how many companies set goals that are unrealistic and know they're unrealistic, but just set this stupid high goal so that way when they miss the goal a little bit, they know that their guys pushed as hard as they possibly could to get as close to it as they could.
Lots.
A lot of people do that, right?
Lots.
They overextend their guys. They know what they're doing. And at the end of the week, their guys feel like they failed, but the company got this massive reward, right?
And they probably hit the goal that they wanted to hit
Correct.
by doing that.
But it's the wrong way of going about it because time management wise, you're just demoralizing the team. We gotta get 100 sheets out this week, right, Chad? 100 sheets out this week, and they get 60 out, and the guys are like, "Well, we didn't come close," but really, the guy just wanted to get 50 out,
Yeah.
Yep.
so he's happy. But if you added the CNC, is 100 sheets a week possible? Absolutely,
so.
100%.
right? I mean, that's not even a lot of times not even hard. We got guys that are doing 100 sheets a day. Like you think about that with the right piece of equipment, you can really put out some product. And so if you could do that, how much better is your time managed if you're not having to work 14, 15 hours a day trying to keep up?
It's a lot better. And your employees are going to be happier.
Right. They don't feel like they're under the gun as much.
Well, and I hear a lot of people they say to us like, well, it's not about always, catering to my employees. We hear people say that. Like, it's not about catering to the employees. They have to work, and it is what it is. You're not wrong. Like, I'm not saying make their job so stinking easy that they don't do anything all day. That's not what anybody is saying here. What we're saying is make it so their job is manageable in an 8-hour shift. So they can actually, I don't care if you work your guy for 8 straight hours, right? You're paid to work for 8 hours. But how much more work are you going to get done in that 8-hour period if the employee is managing their time efficiently?
Get a lot more work done.
Well, and I think, too, you're going to get a lot more work out of an employee in 8 hours if you have a better attitude towards what they're doing and then, trust them to do their job.
Probably won't have nearly the turnover rate either.
Not at all. If you just entrust your employees to do their job and set expectations and let them do it and don't micromanage it and look over their shoulder, you're going to get a lot more production out of those employees.
Yeah. Did you get that memo?
Travis, did you hear that?
I got it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But that's the truth, though. Is like you said, it builds the whole company back up, and managing your time allows you, add efficiency, right? You can add people, processes, or equipment. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And when you look at it, you can't find ways to set goals and be efficient with your work if you're not even trying. Like, if you're not going to try to do something different, you can't do any of that. Like, you can set all the goals in the world that you want, but if you don't actually work towards those goals, you're just saying that you want to get better, but not actually wanting. How many companies say that? How many companies say they want to get better, but never get better?
A lot.
A lot of them, right? A lot of people say oh yeah, we're working on that. We're going to get that done. And they're not working on anything. They're not doing a damn thing. They're just dangling the carrot, right? Make them think we're working on that stuff. But eventually people catch on to that, right? You've told me you were working on that for months and there's been zero change. It's probably not being worked on, right?
Correct.
It gets frustrating. There's really, you simply cannot complete everything at one time. We know that, right? There's no way to get everything done at one time. I mean, some days are just busy, right? Some days you will have to put stuff off to the next day because you're so dang busy. But if you have to set an order of events, right, you have to go through the steps, right? You have to find out what's important to me to get done now versus what can wait an hour, what can wait a day. But you have to keep moving. You can't just say, okay, well, I got that off my plate. Now I can slow down. No, your list is big. You got to get through that list, right? And the reality is how many lists just end?
Not really known.
None.
Right? Every day's another list.
Yep.
So my dad taught me this when I was a lot younger. My dad used to have a legal pad on his desk, and he'd always have a list on it, and it always said the things he had to do. And then at the end of the day, I remember, because I used to be in the same office. Travis, you remember this? Sitting next to my dad. You may have remembered these. He used to have this list, and at the end of the day, he would take the piece of paper and rip it off, and then he'd write what was remaining on his list on the next piece of paper. And the next day, he'd come in, and that list existed. And then he'd add to the list throughout the day. And his goal was to always get to the bottom of his list at the end of the day. But for the days he couldn't get through it, his list, he started at the top of the list every day. So the stuff he didn't get done from the day before was now at the top of the list. And he'd work down. So the new stuff always got added at the bottom of his list. And so you could walk into his office, my dad's office, and you could be like, hey, I need your help with this. We got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And if it wasn't like urgent, pressing, like somebody standing there right now has to be dealt with, he would add it to his list. You'd watch him. He'd take his notepad. He'd write it down. He'd say, okay, I got it. I promise you I'll get that done. And that's how he did it. And then you just walk away and like he got it down. Like every single day he'd get through that list as much as he could, if not the whole thing. But he never missed anything. Like my dad was really meticulous about making sure that he got everything off his list. And that's where I learned it from, was like build the list, understand it. And then I realized like I'm not always at the desk, right? So that list doesn't, and you guys see it. I have that same yellow legal pad on my desk, right? I just don't use it nearly as much as I used to because now everything's in my notes on my phone or my email. But it's the same mentality, that managing your time and developing a way to get through what you need to, whether it's, ordering materials for the next job or, doing an interview because you have to expand, or you're looking for the right CNC machine. Like how many times do you guys try to help customers save money and save, resources, and then they blow you off and tell you they don't have time to deal with it?
Every day.
Right? Like how many times have you guys heard that? Like honestly, like do you hear it a lot?
It does happen quite often.
Probably weekly.
And I mean, how do you guys overcome that? What's your response to those type of things?
My response is the same every time. You're reaching out to me so I can take this workload off you. Once you get past this, you're going to see that you're going to have much more time on your hands for other projects now. Some people like to hear that, and some guys are like, no, I'm busy. I'll tell you when I'm ready. So.
Yeah. And sometimes those people are just using that I'm busy as an excuse, right?
Correct.
I mean, we know that, but
I say, okay, talk later. Bye.
cool. And that works out?
I mean, most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had the little trophy in this corner for how many months in a row now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's selling to his relatives. I don't know how yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, first off, Chad, you're lying.
Oh, absolutely.
You sit on a throne of lies.
You got to remind them how much automation is going to help their shop. And the reason they're so busy is because their processes aren't fully set up and in place.
Like there's no rules, right? I mean, that's what I think a lot of people forget. Like there's no rules on how quickly you manage your time. Like I think people naturally, at the beginning of this episode, Chad, you made the kind of the joke about I do it as fast as I can. But the reality is some people really honestly do that. Like that's really like their mentality of how they get through it is they just go super fast.
You're going to hurt yourself longer by just doing it as fast as you can. Like things
Correct.
need to take time. And like your dad putting stuff on his other list for the next day, those other things that he put on the list, though, he already knew that he could put them on the list or already set up. Like these could be done tomorrow. So you handle all the important stuff now and then delegate down the list on, does this actually need to be done today or can I do it tomorrow?
Yep. And that's the nice thing about a list is my dad would look down the list, right? And he knew that, okay, I have 15 minutes between these meetings. I can accomplish item 4 on the list.
Yep.
Get it done. And he'd cross it out. And that's why at the end of the day, he'd have all these things crossed out, and the ones that weren't crossed out immediately got moved to the top of the list because it allowed my dad to get through things. And like, that doesn't mean that item number 15 on the list didn't get completed and item 9 did. No, sometimes my dad skipped number 9 because it was going to take 2 hours and he didn't have it. So yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. It's developing what works for you. But like I said, time is simply something we give weight to. Like, who determines what time is? Like, Chad, you and I have had this conversation in the past. Like, we get so bogged down in our 8-hour day that we think everything has to be done by this certain time that we create unneeded stress in our lives. People become so caught up in if I don't have this done by 11 a.m., my whole day is going to fall apart.
I'll even do that to myself. Some evenings I'll sit there and think there's just no way I'm going to be able to get this all done. There's no way I'm going to get it all done. And then you just start doing one thing at a time. All right, the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. Before you know it, you're caught back up because you focused, maybe not better, but it's almost like you dial it in a little bit more because you have more to do, so you still get it all done in a normal amount of time, but you worked a little faster than you normally would.
That was me yesterday. I saw you. That's why I asked you. I was like, you're already done with your follow-ups. I wasn't even halfway. Had other stuff to get done, but I still got it done. But again, I put myself under the gun knowing I wanted to get this done by the end of the day or I'm not going home. And I waited until I was done, and it was only like 20 minutes past 5, so it wasn't bad.
20 minutes past 5, Brandon.
I have a button for
I
that.
think the lie detector test determined.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Just kidding, but It is that though. If you know you have more, you're gonna go a little bit quicker to get it done.
But that's the thing. It's like I said, time is time. Like set a realistic goal, like timelines, so you can reduce your stress. Like creating ridiculous timelines and ridiculous expectations just creates more stress and causes you to give up. It's that reward situation, right? If you're not seeing the reward, you're going to give up.
Yep.
Saying that I'm going to get everything done by 11 a.m. so I don't have to work for half my day is probably not the best way of going about your day. You're going to be so stressed the first half of your day that you're probably going to pass out the second half. Like there's a reason why you have 8 hours, right, in your workday. And some people 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, some 14 hours. Like I don't care what your day
Some
is.
4.
What? Who's working
Some
4?
4 to 6.
4 to 6 hours. Who's working 4 to 6 hours, Dad?
People that take 2-hour lunches.
Is that lunch?
Nobody.
Is that lunch A and B?
Nobody in this room.
Chad on Thursdays when he's going golfing.
That's sound
Fair
Chad.
enough.
That's the sound of Travis's head being slammed against the wall.
That is officially lunch B.
Lunch B. But in all seriousness, though, like you said, if you set the goals for your business and a timeline and you manage your time, you're going to accomplish more in your business. And honestly, adding things like CNC machines and equipment is going to get you to a situation where you're not under the gun as bad, right? Mm-hmm. You're not chasing your tail, if you will, right? You're able to do a lot more in the same amount of time you were doing it before. Would you agree with that, guys?
Absolutely.
Yes, no, maybe?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Nick.
Yeah, I say Nick was looked like a deer in the headlights there. Like, did somebody call on me to read? I don't know what's happening.
No, I agree. I heard everything.
It's good.
And then let's do a recap.
Of the whole 45 minutes so far?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Just the last 2 minutes.
Manage your time properly.
That's good. But no, yeah, I mean, recapping it, it's, you got to improve your efficiency. Whether it's setting goals, it's managing your time, whatever you're doing, you got to stop wasting so much time doing tasks that can be expedited by equipment and processes. Wasting your time putting notes in your system versus having a system that can put the notes in there when you write them, right? Mm-hmm. Making or taking the time to quote something line by line when you could be creating a package because those same lines always exist, right? Mm-hmm. Or ordering each piece of material for your cabinetry individually versus ordering in bulk. So you have them in stock.
Well, you'll pay less money.
Exactly. It's being efficient, right? And it's things like CNC machines. Stop cutting cabinets by hand, right? When you could be cutting them with a machine and saving hours. So there's so many things you can do. You cutting cabinets by hand takes you all day to do it. It's wasteful. A machine can do it in an hour or less, right? Save your time. Focus on things that you need. Same with, sign makers. You got guys out there. I don't know a lot of sign makers out there anymore that carve signs by hand anymore. I mean, that kind of, CNCs are really, really popular. It's printers, CNCs, things like that. I mean, that's kind of, it seems like that industry really accepted the technology. Oh, you mean I don't have to paint a sign by hand anymore? Like they get it. Like we can just cut something or we can just, print it or whatever it is. But like, I feel like the cabinetry furniture world still is like, there's a lot of people still old school in that industry. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm never going to do it. As long as I'm standing, I'm never buying a CNC machine. Broke his leg. He's not standing anymore. You going to buy one?
I agree with that, though. I don't talk to too many sign makers where I say, how are you doing this now? And they say, by hand. Like with cabinet guys.
And you hear a lot of it with cabinet guys.
Surprisingly.
It blows me away how many people write. I mean, I see the writing on the the website stuff when they submit the forms, and I read a lot of them, and they're like, cutting cabinets by hand, thinking about going to CNC. Like thinking about it, you're just starting to think.
We do real high end custom cabinets.
Well, I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
By hand.
That would be awkward. But no, that's the truth though. A lot of people they don't give them their own time enough value. Like, yeah, you're spending hours doing something you can do in an hour. Like, how much do you think that takes? Well, a CNC machine costs me $50,000 a year.
I feel like some guys think that just because they cut it with their hand, they can say it's like more custom, more like quality because they did it with their hand.
I think
versus
10
the
years ago
machine.
that was true.
It's
20
crazy.
years ago, I think handcrafted meant something. I'm going to be honest. it doesn't mean shit nowadays. Mostly.
Nobody's.
No.
Like,
The
Technology's
competitors, their competitors of the guys saying that are cutting it with the CNC
yeah,
machine.
like when you're saying that, like that'd be like me trying to say like we build our machines with a CNC machine, so we're not as good. Like I would beg to say, if you told me you're buying a CNC machine that was built by hand, I would probably question the quality of that machine versus a machine that's been aerospace milled.
Right.
100%.
Right? Well, we had a guy that sat there with a grinder, and he did that by hand. I don't think that's that very accurate then. Like, I'd rather buy the machine that was aerospace milled, right?
Yep.
Like, why wouldn't you expect customers to want to buy those cabinets? We cut those by hand. So how do I know the guy measured it right?
So I'm going to charge you 3 times as
Correct.
much.
That's what I hear. Like, honestly, as a consumer, that's what I hear. When somebody's like, handcrafted, I'm like, too expensive. Like, moving on. Because I expect quality in everything nowadays. Like, right? I mean, if I'm going to buy a cabinet, I think the majority of these cabinets, in my mind, after I do my research, are going to have quality. I don't really care. Did you make it with a CNC machine or did you make it by chisel? Like, I
As
don't
long
care.
as it looks good and does what it's supposed to do,
Right.
and handcrafted doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think to me, it's more importantly who made it than the tool that was used, right? To me, was it made by you? Or are you buying somebody else's product and putting your name on it? That to me is more important. I don't want to buy a cabinet from a guy who just bought it overseas, right? Just big box cabinet, right? Like I don't want that. I want a guy who, you guys built this cabinet for my house. I don't care if you built it with 3 guys and a table saw or if you built it on a CNC router. Like, I don't care about that. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to spend $20,000 on a kitchen with you, are you not better off to have $10,000 in profit?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, well, we made this by hand, so now we made $2,500. Cool.
Sweet.
Still cost me 20 grand, and I still don't care. You know, like, I'm going to spend the 20 grand either with you or your competitor. Your competitor's going to make 10 grand, and you're going to make 2,500. What's the most, what's the best use of your money there? I'd probably say, let's save money where we can without cutting corners.
Right.
That's why we buy American CNC machines,
Correct.
right? Because I want the quality. If I'm going to sell you a machine, you're going to spend 40 grand, right? I'd rather have a machine that's higher quality, right? Rather have a machine that was built specifically for your application rather than just something rebranded with somebody else's name on it.
Amen.
My favorite was yesterday. We got an email from a customer that tried to compare 2 machines that were built by the same people. Right?
And both companies are fighting saying they built it.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Like
But the 2 companies fighting didn't even build it. They're just
that's my point.
getting it from the person. That
So
built
you
it.
start thinking about that, like time management, right? Like how much time are you wasting arguing about things that it's the same thing?
You're both rebranding it.
Yeah, it's like you could just be like, samesies. Like that'd be easier. That's my easier sales method in that situation. But like if you're trying to understand a product, you're trying to understand like having your time spent on things that are going to make you money, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the family of guys that the cousins or uncles got CNC machines, and now a guy called back in because he doesn't want to be the only one with out a ShopSabre?
Right.
Yep.
Travis had a customer yesterday. He's completely drawing a blank right now, I think. But yeah, customer.
I just talked to him again today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so tell the story, Travis.
But yeah, I mean, that's the situation though, is you have those situations where people, exactly, they own a machine and they have a poor experience, right? Because they bought a lesser quality product and then they've told their friends that like, hey, don't buy this one. You know, I've heard good things about this. And they buy somebody else's machine. And then it turns out that now, 2 of his relatives and 1 of his friends own ShopSabres while he still owns the other machine
That they replaced.
that they've replaced. Yeah. And he's like, so he finally called you and now he's getting ready to replace that one too.
Yep.
But the point being is it's like, how much time has he wasted fighting through a machine? You know, how much time of his has been just thrown away because of the product?
Mm-hmm.
When you have a, product like ShopSabre, which it's very comparable in price and you're going to get the support and the quality that you expect.
I even said that one of their tech guys hung up on him.
Well, that worked out well.
Yeah, he's frustrated.
Hey, sir, can you solve this problem? Click.
That must be on his list for tomorrow.
That's on. Yeah. He carried it to the other page. He's gonna take care of him tomorrow, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, I think we've covered that. Time management. You got to manage what you're doing. You got to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and find a way to be more productive. Right?
Absolutely.
ShopSabre.com.
Chat at.
ShopSabre.com.
I wasn't ready. Sorry.
That's where you can get your quotes from.
Or you can reach out to Travis.
You didn't say ass.
ShopSabre.com.
You hit the
What
button
an
too
idiot.
quick.
They're all
Hit
gonna
the button too
bounce.
quick.
Oh man, you really messed that up.
I tried.
Nick, how can they learn more about this stuff online?
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Got some really cool stuff that's going to start coming out. I mean, we've had some good quality stuff the last how many months and years, but it's about to take off to a new level. So make sure you follow us and see all the cool new stuff that's coming out.
Yep, we're excited. Like I said, this team's been expanding, and I will say that's something I'm super excited about. We have, it really started. It was me. I did it all. Like I did everything, and I just one guy, and I'm not as talented as these guys. And I was fortunate enough. I got Kyle on my team. Kyle comes with a ton of talent. The problem is Kyle's only one guy, and he started getting bogged down. And so then we got Nick involved, and then I realized Nick's getting defocused from his other part of his jobs too. So it's like, how does he balance it? Again, time management, right? And so now we have Jose. So really, really excited. The three of them together, they bring a lot of cool ideas and neat skills. So yeah, be sure to check out our website. I don't know if I've played the button yet or not today, so I better do that.
ShopSabre.com.
But in all seriousness, yeah, you keep an eye on ShopSabre.com because we're actually doing a update on that right now. Got a lot of cool things coming your way there, and then some new videos coming out. We're going to start we're trying to get more videos out every week, so you have some more stuff to check out. But yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming that way, and we're really excited about the future. And like I said, biggest thing is going to be time management. We're trying to manage our time better too, so we can bring you more content.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. I agree. Guys, did I miss anything today?
I think you've done well.
Thanks. Appreciate
It was
that.
okay.
It was only okay.
It's all right. I'm Chad.
Tried to drown him out with some music. But with that, I'm Brandon.
I'm Chad.
I'm Travis.
I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
And that's Jose. Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.